Najib has been getting support from the oddest sources in recent times. Last January he was supported by PAS, the arch-opponent of the UMNO, the party he once led, when his cause was being heard at the Court of Appeal. Even UMNO, his own party, withdrew its desire to rally for him outside the courthouse when the police warned them against it. But PAS would still persevere in organizing a rally for him, despite the fact that he is technically a former leader of their main opponent, and despite the fact that he was sentenced and imprisoned when PAS was a part of the ruling government. Today, according to a poll, it is Indians that are providing overwhelming support for Najib because of all the ethnic groups in Semenanjung. It is the Indians that want to see Najib released from jail the most. Support for Najib amongst the Indians is so high it even exceeds the support that Malays, who are the ethnic group that Najib belongs to, are extending to Najib. According to a recent survey, commissioned by Project Stability and Accountability for Malaysia, Project Sama, and conducted by Merdeka Center, a whopping 62.2% of Indian respondents were in favor of Najib getting a royal pardon, while only 50.5% of Muslim Bumiputera and 43% of Malays wanted to see Najib released. Why? According to Ramasamy, the chairman of Uramai, an Indian-based party, many Indians, especially those from lower-income backgrounds, found former Prime Minister Najib Razak's administration more inclusive and responsive to the community's concerns. For them, Najib represented a rare moment of attention and support from the political leadership. Compared to other prime ministers, Najib is seen as more generous and empathetic and, most importantly, more action-oriented when it comes to issues affecting the Indian community. For many Indians, especially those from lower-income backgrounds, Najib is remembered less for his corruption conviction and more for his perceived efforts to assist the Indian community. For some, he remains a tainted leader. For others, particularly among the marginalized, he is remembered as someone who tried, however imperfectly, to make a difference, he said in a Facebook post. The fact that Ramasamy referred to the support for Najib to come from them, and Indians from the lower income bracket, as if to indicate that he is not one of them, is probably why Ramasamy couldn't make sense of the high degree of support that Najib is suddenly having from the Indian community. The fact of the matter is that Indians are not really that supportive of Najib. We are mostly just disappointed with Anwar. Anwar used to dance to MGR tunes for us. Today he is calling us KG, converting us out of our religion and relocating our old temples. When Najib fell in 2018, Indians, excepting the Chinese, were likely the ethnic group that most contributed to his downfall. In 2022, when Anwar became the prime minister, Indians were arguably the ethnic group that identified so intimately with Anwar's victory, that most of us were behaving like we won because he won. Even the Malays, Anwar's own race, probably didn't feel like they won because Anwar won, as much as how the Indians felt that they won because Anwar won. Fast forward to 2025. However, the Chinese still feel mostly like a winner, just like how they felt so in 2022. Even the Malays, who initially felt like they lost in 2022, are starting to feel like winners in 2025. But the Indians who felt like winners in 2022 are now positively feeling like losers in 2025, even though the team we bet on won in 2022. Indians not only feel like we are the biggest losers of the 2022 election, we also likely feel let down by Anwar. He seems to be doing all sorts of other things, from playing realpolitik with the opposition, joining Team China and Russia in the great game that China and Russia are playing against the US and the West, to become the VVIP in ASEAN, while totally forgetting about us. It's to the point that he is not paying the scantest attention towards us, even when we seem to be falling further and further down, as he is going further and further up. When the news outlets were spreading news about corn sellers calling us the K-word and saying that radio DJs were mocking us with the Kavadi dance, the least that he could have done is tell the news outlets to not make a mountain out of a molehill, and make us feel that any run-of-the-mill person can mock and ridicule us. We don't have even one cabinet minister in his administration. Our temples, even our old temples, are being relocated while many of our temples are being referred to as Quil Haram, but he is not even saying this should stop, he is not even expressing his concerns. The Indians used to treat Anwar as their leader, but it seems that some ego problem has come between Anwar and the Indians, because some sort of passive aggressiveness has been playing out between the leader and his follower. It is hard to say who started the ego problem. Maybe it was us that offended him and he is just retaliating, or maybe it is the other way around. But as it is with all ego problems, it really doesn't matter how it started. What is important is how we are going to end it. As long as it doesn't end, Anwar might call us KG once again, and then justify it by saying that he was just quoting literature. And we are going to ask for Najib to be released, although we likely prefer Anwar to Najib, and although we were actually quite happy when Najib went into jail in the first place.
Check one, check.
Personally, I think that it would be best if Anwar is the one that makes the first move, to perhaps settle the ego issue that is going on between him and the Indian community. It would be best for him to make the first move, because he is winning. When the winner makes the first move to placate an ego problem that they have with others, it will make them shine even brighter as winners. On the other hand, it would be difficult, if not impossible, for us Indians to make the first move to reconcile the ego problem, because we actually feel like losers right now, and those who feel like losers will find it extremely difficult to make the first move, because to do so will shatter their already fragile state of self-respect. I think that Indians still favor Anwar as their leader more than they do Najib, or even their own leaders as their leader. There might have been some distance and coldness that has come between Anwar and the Indians, but it is not so great that a meaningful gesture or some attention and concern cannot thaw